So very warm welcome, Tamás. Let me introduce Tamás Hák-Kovács. I very much appreciate your time and the opportunity that we can talk. And first of all, congratulations to the SEED Alumni Award, very well deserved. We are going to walk around that as well, but there are certainly some more important questions we would like to hear from you about the very successful transformation of DSK Bank in Bulgaria, also your digital transformation journey, and overall what sort of challenges are in CE at the moment. How do you see it as a real regional expert? So these are the three main topics we would walk around. May I start then with the first? You took over the leadership of DSK Bank in November 2020. Just when COVID hit, so that was, another difficulty. And after a major acquisition, if difficulty was not enough, with the Express Bank. And just tell me about that. That was a very difficult situation, I guess, that for you as a newcomer during COVID situation, plus after a major acquisition. So just what did you find, and what were your very first steps in regard to that?
First of all, thank you for having me. As a matter of fact, it wasn't as difficult as it sounds, because end of the year we were already over the COVID shock. So people got, including myself, people got used to the idea that you have COVID and adjusted to new ways of working. On the one side, on the other side, it was after the acquisition. And it was before a relatively big regulatory change, because DSK became directly supervised by the European Central Bank. So the challenge was less about dealing with the, let's call it the aftermath of the merger or acquisition, more like preparing for the immediate impact of European supervision. And the second challenge was, but that was planned. I wouldn't call it a challenge. That was the job. The philosophy of the bank was merge first and improve later. So I had a clear mandate to start and think about the potential improvements that we can get out of the merger process. So I believe in this regard that I got lucky, as I said, because the shock of the merger and the shock of the COVID was already over. And I came in at the moment just before another shock wave started. So I had the opportunity, not a very long opportunity, but I still had the opportunity to gather the team, decide the priorities. As I said, we had a clear mandate. So I would not overestimate the COVID impact.
All right, let me come back to that later, because I do think that's an interesting topic. On the other hand, you said merge first and then, okay, do your integration job afterwards. It sounds like a very agile way of approaching it. But I think as ourselves have undergone serious integrations and mergers, so it's not that easy. I mean, it's easy to say, but the integration part is always the very difficult one. So how can you make sure that when two companies comes together and this is 1+1 would equal at least 2 or even more than 2 and not less than 2. So you can really have the synergies and you can really build on the strengths of the two companies.
I mean, my role in the post-merger process shouldn't be overestimated. I really would like to emphasize that. And I believe one of the critical success criteria is to make it clear, as I said, that and it wasn't my decision, it was the decision of the shareholder or the chairman of the supervisory board. You merge first, improve later. That means that you focus on the technical aspect of the merge. And that is very important, especially during COVID time, where there is a lot of distraction around. And they took the decision that it is not really a merger, it was an acquisition. So practically we didn't merge with Express Bank, we absorbed Express Bank into the organization. That made the technical merge easier. right? So we did not keep the Express Bank systems. Express Bank migrated to the DSK system. So that kept the technicality, kept the technical part of the merger, which is always a big headache and a resource-consuming process, as simple as possible. And I believe that was a very important decision. The second decision they took, and this is not what I want to criticize, but this is for me the lesson that, in my opinion, you can do it better. And this is the advice I give OTP colleagues who are in the merger process now. That if you are in a merger process, apart from the technical part, it's always a good opportunity to renew the organization. And I think we make this mistake because what we try to do in a merger situation, we try to balance between the two banks. Let's have one manager from one bank, the another manager from that bank, and so on. And in my opinion, this is the wrong approach. It is good in a sense that pay attention to the sensibilities of the two organizational culture, at least on the short term. But our experience is that you could take this as an organizational renewal. And for example, instead of looking at the candidates, let's say, for example, I just say head of HR, that you have two head of HRs and let's choose one of them. It would be much better to say that you have to have at least 3 or 4 candidates for the position before you choose. And that would be, I haven't tested it, but I think that would be a really, really big opportunity to take more than the 100% out of a merger, but go beyond that. So this was one of the in the improve later task. This was left to me. So it was a kind of a two-step. It was kind of a two-step process. So the new management was already set up, but it wasn't used for an organizational renewal. We came to the conclusion. It was a very, very, very quick change. So I have never been to Bulgaria before. I came here to meet the people, and the next weekend we moved over with family. So it was a kind of a 2-week. It was a 2-week process. So we met the people. We went into a hotel. We had a session. I collected all the ideas, and we came up with a short-term plan. What are the issues that needed to be fixed? And my first decision, that in my opinion was a very good decision, was that given the maturity of the Bulgarian market, we decided that we can afford to postpone any digital transformation. So in this improve later phase, we really focused on the improving part, because in a merger process, the bank is on hold for years. Let's say for 2 years, you really freeze your own development because you are first on the merger. So we said that we will use the first year to do stuff that we haven't done for technical reasons for the last couple of years. And we clearly understood that there needs to be some capability building. So we put into this program some capability building elements that are strategically very important. Whatever the digital transformation definition you have, everyone understands. At least in my opinion, there is no question that digital transformation is about customer experience, UX, UI, use of data, and so on. So we put some capability building into it. And I'm just coming back to the organizational renewal, and this gave us an opportunity. It's a kind of a 1 year. It was a 1 year period to work together, get to know each other, develop a longer-term strategic concept, start with strategic transformation 1 year later. You can argue, is it slow or not? But my opinion is that you have a digital transformation is not a digital revolution, at least not in our case. And you have to focus on not only on the digital part of the transformation, but the transformation part as well. So you are not building a parallel digital bank. You try to transform the existing organization, and that clearly takes time. And one more element. There is no clear path for digital transformation. It's not like that you Google it and then you get a recipe. So we spent parallel, the first year. We parallel spent on thinking on this digital transformation definition, what it would mean and what is the right approach. And I think we came up with a definition that is accepted by the whole organization, and we were able to rally the organization around it. So I'll tell you what, it's a long story, but we had the luxury to sequence the actions as much as we could.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I do think that the way how you did it, like this, continuously working, iterating, actually, that's what I was hearing during the implementation phase, is probably a right way, because when you come together with another company, it's never done. This is what I experienced. And maybe a soft measure here is that are there still Express Bank people there and DSK people there? Do they differentiate themselves in the organization like that? Because that's what I often see, that for years, still people know about each other, that where they were coming from, and then they differentiate a little bit. And until you have a united only DSK Bank sort of culture, it's still there are difficulties in terms of integrating the people. How do you see that?
It is a very interesting. Question. We had, in my opinion, we had a unique situation because I came from the outside. Neither DSK nor Express Bank, right? I brought, let's put it that way, I brought an OTP culture to it. Which is already a good starting point, because I couldn't care less where you come from. Everyone was new to me. This is one. And the second element is that I believe this sequencing is very important. DSK absorbed Express Bank, and then we said that, okay, let's look at what we have now and where do we want to be. And do we want to be this digital transformation? This has nothing to do with the past DSK or the past Express Bank. So it was a new vision, everyone could. And we spent a lot of time, as I said, to create the buy-in for the new vision. So I never hear that I am from Express Bank and I am from DSK. I personally believe, but I may be a little bit naive, but I personally believe that we have relatively quickly overcome this divide.
In terms of such a big transformation, there's a huge change management sort of process behind it. How do you see the role of the CEO yourself in this regard, and what have you learned through this major change management exercise, if you like?
I mean, my entire life, probably that's true for everyone. Every CEO, but at least my entire career is a change management process. Maybe it's a Central and Eastern European specifics that this is a market that is continuously changing or evolving, sometimes not necessarily into the right direction. So I have a clear. I always had about this change management relatively clear vision, at least on what is my role. Right. So my number one role is setting the direction, and this is, in my opinion, it's a CEO responsibility. It's not a collective. At the end, it's not a collective. It's a collective exercise, but it's not a collective responsibility. So setting the direction where we want to go is one. The second element is the communication of it, and for example, DSK it used to be a very hierarchical structure. So we had to work to try to break down the hierarchy and improve communication as much as we can. And it's not easy to improve communication because you think that communication means that CEO goes out, talks or writes, and that's improved communication. But that's not improved communication because it's two sides. On the other side, they have to be able to receive. And I did ask the people because they always say they want transparent communication. And then I asked them, okay, but why don't you listen if you want to transparent communication? And as a matter of fact, it came out that for them, transparent communication is personal meetings in small groups. So I had to say, okay, then we have 5,000 employees, but okay, then let's do personal meetings in small groups. But I cannot do that alone. So I have some help, and we have town hall meetings, we have road shows, we call it spread the word. So you have to improve the communication, but it's not as easy as it sounds, because the receiving end is critical. And probably in every country, in every organization, or every culture, they perceive the information differently. So this is the second CEO role. And the third one is you have to, in every management book, they call it role modeling, that you have to model the role. But most CEOs obviously don't model the role. I believe I've been doing a relatively good job at modeling the role, what I expect from people. This is a time-consuming process, and it requires a little bit of arrogance. But I try to tell people, don't take this personal. It's not about you or not about me. It's about the situation where we just, I interrupt you because this is not how we want to do, and then let's start it over. So these are for me the three lessons. They are very, very general, but what I want to emphasize that you have to adopt your behavior, because it's not necessarily perceived as you want to be perceived. So, and this is obviously this is a process until you understand how you have to adopt your personal behavior. But I believe that this is stuff that is relatively easy in theory. You look at any management book or Harvard Business Review article, you will find these things, but it's very difficult to do in practice.
Right. Thank you for these learnings and the insight. We started to talk about digital transformation, which is a key vision as well, as you said, for you. Let us more understand how you make digital transformation really as a driving force behind this whole transformational process.
There is no clear definition of digital transformation. Everyone talks about digital transformation, but I rarely find a clear and concise definition what you mean. And as I said, we spent a year trying to define it for ourselves. It was a pretty long process, and we talked to many people, looked at many examples. We even went to, I call it study trips, to meet other organizations, to see how they deal with the challenge. So for me, the first question is that digital transformation for banks is like electric cars for car companies. So everyone, and you can explain it in detail why is this important, but you need a high level understanding that this is inevitable. It's only a question of time when it arrives. So that was the first element, trying to explain to everyone why is this inevitable, and it's not just a management fad, because everyone is talking about digital transformation. And the second element was to define what we want to do. What is digital transformation first? And you can practically put it into two categories. What we defined at the first step was the first category, is that you have to be able to create, I call it cutting edge customer journeys with channel parity. The channel parity is the transformation part. So every word in this sentence has a meaning. So what you need to understand, that customer experience in digital is extremely important, because unlike in the traditional branch business, you don't have the human factor who is going to correct for process failures. You have to have a much better customer experience, but because there is no one there offering you a coffee until, I don't know, they print 55 pages. Right? If you don't have the next click in a couple of seconds, you just drop out of the journey and you lose the customer. And this customer experience thinking is very new in banking. So it sounds strange, but if you talk to banking CEOs, they all talk that customer experience is important. And I always ask the question: it's 2022, so it took us quite a lot of time to realize that customer experience is important. So it's not obvious for the organization that customer experience is important, and it's for DSK it was especially big problem, but it's problem for everyone. So if you ask people what is important, normally on number one place, compliance is important, right? And then number two, I don't know, something around the financials are important. So when I talk to people, what the customer wants never made the top three, which sounds strange, but this is absolutely true. And This is a relatively big mindset change. Once again, you can explain what is the dramatic change in the environment that makes customer experience important. So we spent some time trying to explain to people that there is a radical shift in the environment, and the switching cost for the customer is not what it used to be. So you need to be able to design these customer journeys at a totally different level. And the second element is why we call it transformation, because we want to design customer journeys that then can be deployed to the branches as well, not only in digital. You cannot have two different journeys. That you want to open an account on the mobile phone, it takes you 5 minutes. You come to the branch, it takes you 2 hours. I mean, this cannot be everywhere. It has to be around 5 minutes. So this was our definition, that we would like to create much better customer journeys with channel parity without compromising on the compliance part, because compliance is a big competitive advantage compared to fintechs.
Let us more understand what digital factory means.
The tool we selected is the digital factory. There are 3 ways. One is that you want to make a big bang kind of revolution, trying to transform the whole organization. That's at one extreme. At the other extreme is that you could try to create some kind of innovation labs. I don't believe in any of them, because the innovation lab I haven't seen this concept successfully applied anywhere. And the large big bang transformations lead to several years you are just busy with yourself. Instead of doing transformation, you are busy with internal matters. So we went for this digital factory in between, which is a way of working and the place of working. So if we try to set up digital product development squads that go to this digital factory, they work fully agile. I mean, this is a way, not easy to learn, fully agile, on a selected technology stack. And we insource the technology skills. So these are the three critical elements of the digital factory. And I call it a way of working, which I just explained. And it's important that it's a place of working, because we wanted to make sure that if it's not a full transformation, at least those who participate in this transformation, they are close to each other, that there is a critical mass. So this is the part of the digital factory concept. And what we expect that, this is the way of working that is going to take over the organization. So that is the critical element, in my opinion, this journey transformation. I would like to emphasize journey transformation with channel parity. It's one sentence, but as I said, it took us a year to come up with this one sentence, and then to select the right tools. And this is only the first step. We have evolved since. What other steps you need to a full digital transformation? But this is the stage where we are now, that we have started. As I said, we came up during the first year, 2021. We have to start it to execute it 2022. We are now improving the execution, because ideas are easy, execution is everything, and we are evolving the concept further, because this is not this is not yet the full definition of digital transformation. Mm-hmm. Sorry Great. For the long answers.
No, it's very interesting.
I'm passionate about the topic, so I can talk about it for hours.
And certainly digital transformation is on the mind of everybody these days. So I very much like your approach, which is using this digital factory as a sort of a core activity, which is spreading through the whole organization, as I understood it well. Creating a new mindset, because the digital transformation should be a mindset change as well, no? Shouldn't it?
Yes. The mindset is a very fashionable word. Mindset change is the most important, because you don't, for 2 reasons. One reason is that you need a totally different mindset in the digital factory setup. And we define the mindset as agile mindset, ownership mindset, and transparent communication. And we have a definition to all 3. And even if you manage to create it in the digital factory, in order to spread, you have to try to change the mindset outside the island as well. As a matter of fact, this is going to be the second wave of transformation, because we came to the conclusion that in order to accelerate, we need a much bigger shakeup in the organization to spread the mindset, because the spreading the mindset will allow to spread the the digital transformation concept. So we have started this year, end of this year, we have started to make a transformation parallel to the digital transformation, which the biggest value of this transformation is to spread the mindset and create a more fertile ground for a future digital transformation of the entire bank.
Mm-hmm. Well, great.
With the mindset, what I would like to emphasize with the mindset is that mindset is very important, but like strategy or transformation or digital, you have to give a very clear definition what it means. And I have 3 pages, and I defined on the 3 pages the mindset. And everywhere I go, I always don't talk about agile mindset. I always have this slide behind me on the screen. This is what I mean. Mm-hmm.
I very much like your comment on the customer experience and the customer journey, and do you measure that? How far your customers are satisfied? How far they are really prioritizing your bank due to this digital transformation?
This is one of the tricky elements, because it is very difficult to measure, and it is very easy to, you can always ask the question in a way that suits you. Make sure that the answer suits you, right? I told you that during the first year, we said that, okay, we are kind of fixing the problems that we haven't had time to fix during merger, COVID, and we do some capability building. And one of the capability building was we created a customer experience team. It reports directly to me, and it has two components. One component is service designers. We call it service designer. We started to implement the design thinking methodology as the major problem solving method of the bank. Asking basically you ask the customer first. Very radical innovation, but very impactful. So we have set this up. We have 4 service designers. Which means that they can run at least 4 sprints, maybe even 6 in parallel. And the second leg of this customer experience team is measurement. And we came up with a measurement system, how we measure the customer experience. And I'm not going to explain now it in detail, because that would be a totally different conversation. What I would like to say is that when we looked into the mirror, we were very surprised what we saw. But most of the organizations, including ourselves, we try to avoid this. We want the magical mirror that shows a different picture. And we were very surprised, but luckily it had a positive impact, because it created a little bit of sense of urgency. So because for me, it's very difficult to create sense of urgency, especially after the first year, because during the first year, my motto was that we don't settle for average, and we regained our market leading position in every aspect at the end of the first year. We are the most profitable, the most efficient, and the biggest banks, kind of to put it simply. And the next year, people ask me, what do you want from us? We are already number 1 in everything, right? So there is no sense of urgency. And I tell them, yes, we are number 1 in financial indicators, but just look at the customer experience. We are the worst in terms of customer experience. If you use this, we call it relationship NPS. If you look at it. And it took some time for people to digest this information. But now the whole organization is rallying around this one single number. And this is the good thing about NPS, in my opinion. It is a very simple indicator. It exaggerates the problems. But if it exaggerates the problems, it makes it easy to rally the organization around the cause. So it was a lucky coincidence that we managed to create sense of urgency without being in a huge crisis. So measurement is extremely important, and what I have seen is that I haven't seen many organizations who do honest measurement. Just let's put it that way. We just lie to ourselves by putting the magical mirror in front of us. But this we set up a system here that does an honest measurement, and became last. So in our own ranking, and you don't want to be last, right? You want to be the first.
Thank you very much, for the sincere comments in this regard. I do agree with you. Can we then shift to the third topic? That's about the region itself, and it would be very valuable to hear from you, who really has had a successful career already in Ukraine, Russia, certainly Hungary, and now Bulgaria, and you are an expert, regional expert, so to say. So what were the biggest challenges for you in working in the region, and what are the great opportunities for leaders here? Because I'm sure that there are.
I mean, look, every country I worked in is in the same region. So for me, it's very difficult to compare to, I don't know, to Asia or even to Western Europe. I have a little bit of experience in Germany, and I was in a regional position, but still dealing with the region. So my opinion is, given the diverse countries I worked with, is the following, maybe three things. Number one, corporate culture is much stronger than individual cultures in the given countries. Mm-hmm. Yes, and I can judge this because as I said, I worked in Russia, I worked in Ukraine, Hungary, now Bulgaria. I had responsibility for Czech Republic and Slovakia. So corporate culture is much stronger than any given individual country. That's one. The second element is that the markets are different in terms of difficulty. I would put it that way. So there are two extremes in the region, and for example, Bulgaria is one extreme and Ukraine is the other. Where, for example, the Ukrainian market is a very, very volatile market where skills matter. And it's not easy to survive. So when you looked at it, Ukraine had 100 banks before the war, and 5 banks out of the 100 had 120% of the profit pool, and the other 95 had minus 20% of the profits because of the skill. Bulgaria is the other extreme. This is a very surprisingly maybe, but it's an extremely stable country. So it's in this regard, it's a much easier to manage a bank, and skills matter. Individual skills matter less. So for me, that is the second lesson, and the third lesson is that there is a divide in this region in terms of digital maturity. There is an exception, Poland. The post-Soviet countries have a much higher digital maturity level than the Central and Eastern European countries. So Hungary, Bulgaria is nowhere near Ukraine or Georgia. But this, I mentioned this before, but this I consider as a natural evolution. Like I use the example of cars, but I often use the example of children, that you have a child who is 20 years old, I have a child who is 12 years old, both of them are going to be 25 sooner or later. They are not going to remain 12, and the other is not going to become suddenly 30. So it's only a question of time. So for me, there are these three big differences. Clearly, this is before the war. The Russian invasion of Ukraine changes this balance or view, and it's not entirely clear how it will settle how it will settle down.
Okay, thanks for your comments. Two other minor questions, if I may. One is about seed, and you participated in some flagship programs of ours, like business leadership program, for example.
In two programs, business leadership and agility.
If you look back in the past couple of years, how far did it help and support you that what we were providing during those journeys?
I think I was very lucky with the business leadership program because I was in a very good group. It wasn't my table was let's put it that way, in a sense, right? Not the large group. I had a very good table. All participants, senior leaders with diverse background, which means that diverse geographical and diverse industry background. So it was really a fun experience in terms of being with these people. So this is lucky. It's not always the case that you are with people whom you know whose company you enjoy and you really can have valuable lessons for each other. But because of this same level of seniority but different geography and industry background, it was very, very useful. We had airline executives, IT executives, consultants, bankers, and so on. So this was one very important thing which made the whole exercise much more enjoyable. The second on the leadership program is that I keep the whole program for myself as a register, and even during the course, but ever since after, I keep it as a register. I have the topics, and if I have new information, I still use the same register and put in the new information. So we had a section on motivation. If my thinking develops some motivation, I open in OneNote my seed register and I put my information under the seed motivation. Recently we had a discussion here about employee engagement. Instead of Googling employee engagement, I just went to my seed section of employee engagement. What we discussed. I looked at the material, shared some of the material with the colleagues, and I updated the information with the feedback I got. If you pay attention, and you keep it alive, it is very important in terms of professional development. And these are topics that most people say, I can do that. You know, I've been a CEO for 20 years. I can motivate people. I know what employee engagement is, but this is not true. 99% of the senior leaders wouldn't be able to define the motivational theories, right? The third element, what I really did enjoy, is that it is a time for you get out, you are in good company. You talk about topics you are passionate about, and it's a time for reflection. You seldom have the opportunity to reflect for 3 days, and I still keep it. If you want, I can share my seed notes on the screen for the video if you want.
If you can, I mean, this is great best practice for others. Actually, how you do it and how you absorb the new learnings after the course, and then still connect it to the learnings you had there. So I mean, it's really great.
I'll blend it. I'll blend it in for you. Can you see it? See the agility?
Yes, I can see
yours. All my notes, and then all the details fitted in. For example, I even have this was the guest speaker. And he had one very good slide, and I even kept it, selection criteria, common vision. It was very kind of interesting that I captured on this slide, and I still keep, or on this picture, and I still keep it.
That's great. That really encouraging. That thanks very much for that.
It's always an attitude question, how much you want to get out of it. And that's why the company is very important, because if you are in a company who is, really passionate, and instead of talking about football, you talk about the stuff that is coming up during the day. It's a different thing. That's why I said it. I was lucky with the group, but that's only one element, right? But I really emphasize that I really did enjoy the material. It's extremely well selected, and it is very, very important that we always return to this same basic question, and don't pretend that we already know everything. Let's say motivation is a very, very typical topic. We had a session on motivation, and I still find it surprising that most people have never ever paid attention to motivation in a scientific matter. Although we are leading huge organizations with thousands of people.
That's right. That's right. Maybe another discussion that we can spend around that topic, because yes, that's a very important one. But Tamás, really thank you very much for your insights. Also, we were really delighted to present you with the Seed Excellence Award, very well deserved. So thanks very much for this conversation, and keep in touch.
Okay, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, really.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye, thank you.